are good. I couldn't hear anything because I could not hear that beautiful piano.
Well, thank you.
That's a good angle.
Yeah, I'm trying it on a different stand. Can you see most of the keyboard? Yeah, that's it right there.
Yes.
I'm gonna drop it a little bit more. Yeah, right there. I think that's good.
Okay.
Look good to you?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, Tom.
Hey, Alan.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm glad y'all are here. I see some faces that have been with us in several things today. I think Sandra Smith and Roby Robertson have been on Life Quest something all day, haven't you?
Yeah.
But
Yes.
Oh, it's so funny to me how, you know, the mayor has a full-time communications director who could have helped him with so much today. But since we're all working from home, he was on his own, and you could tell. Once he got going, he did a great job. But oh,
One of the women is outside. See her hair blowing.
yeah, that's Diana. You're enjoying the beautiful sunshine, I can see. We got to get Joe on. Tom, we've got a few more coming in.
Okay.
We're live on Facebook right now on the LifeQuest Facebook page, and we have three or four folks participating, listening in through the Facebook page as we're getting more accustomed to that. So
I told the staff earlier today a quick story that I was telling a friend of mine, you know, all the things we were doing on LifeQuest and Zoom and using Facebook Live and all of these other kind of connections. And he said, wait, isn't that a senior organization? I said, yes, it is.
yes, sir. And yeah, the seniors in this organization have had no gaps in their education this spring. They have been tuned in and plugged in. I'm going to keep admitting folks, but I'm going to go quiet. And toward the end, when you have questions, just jump in there and unmute your mic whenever you want to. You don't need to wait for permission from me or Tom. He'll let you know. He'll give you the cue, won't you, Tom?
Yeah.
When you want them to ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll be listening in. So take it away, Tom. Have a great class.
Thank you. Having a little problem with my Zoom. I don't know what's going on. Let's see here. Weird. Hang on a minute. It just
I'm
basically
listening.
took a picture of everybody and the screen kind of froze.
Well, talk to us a minute and that might,
Can you? Yeah, okay.
it might go away. It might just be your Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Can you? I don't know what's going on. I can see myself, but I can't. Now I'm back. Yeah. Now it's whatever. All right. Yes. Let me see who's here. Hi, Jeanette. Hi, Roby. Hi, Alan. Hey, Mike. Hey, Sandra. Rena's on again, and there's Lynn. Lynn's walking with her thing. Get to see the roof of her house. And there's Diana, yes, and Ralph, good. And then there's some, Joe's got a little thing on here, an embroidered thing. The family that pets together stays together. That's true.
Actually,
that prays together.
yes, P-R-E-Y.
Oh,
Prays
okay.
together.
Praise together. I'm sorry. It's kind of small. It's hard to read. Let's see here. All right, I'll get started. Let me just get that. A little tablet I like, but man, the buttons are tiny on it. Okay, I've had a request to talk less and play more. So I'm going to do that. And I'll just start with, I'm going to start today with the blues. I haven't really done a blues this course so far. This is a standard blues. meaning it's built around 3 chords, this chord, and this chord, and then finally this chord, and back to this chord. It's 12 measures long. Traditional jazz blues are divided into 3 phrases. Each phrase is a 4-bar phrase. And the first phrase pretty much hangs around the home bass chord. It'll move away for a minute and then come back. The second phrase, you can always tell where you are because the second phrase starts on this chord. And it'll stay there for a little bit. And then it'll come back home. That's the second phrase. The last phrase often goes to the tension chord. And then it comes home. Or sometimes it does that. And then it passes back through the second chord. Then it comes home. You're going to hear me use those basic chords, but sometimes getting from one chord to the next, I'm going to put in some other chords to make that transition more interesting harmonically, which at the same time opens me up to playing some different ideas in that spot because I'm playing different chords than normally would be, not normally, but on a basic blues form, we put there. The melody's so typical of a blues. It's just a little simple melody. Then it repeats again in that second phrase. Then it starts to repeat again in the last phrase, but then goes a different direction. Very simple melodic structure. Singable, memorable, medium tempo. This blues is called basically blues. I first heard it, I had a record in my 20s of the Buddy Rich Big Band, which I loved. And this is one of their featured tunes. Basically blues. So you pay attention to the left hand here, what it's doing, then the lines over the top, then the left hand will go more to harmony. Comments. What was the left hand doing a lot of the time? You have to unmute, I think.
Well, basically just standard rhythm cadence.
Yeah, yeah. The left hand, was it primarily playing chords, or was it playing a single line, sort of so that we had counterpoint going, bass line moving on its own melody, and then me playing the melody to the tune over the top, and then me improvising over that. So you listen just a little more again, because the left hand has to be the bass player, which is which is giving us the time. And listen how in the left hand, when I start off, I play half notes. I don't play on every beat. I play every 2 beats in the left hand. That gives the song a place to go rhythmically and to get busier, so to speak, as I build the tension, because then I can switch at some point from the left hand just playing half notes and each one of those notes is the root of the chord I'm going to play. And then it moves into the left hand, what we would say, a walking bass line. It's really walking before that, but it's walking in 2. Then it starts to walk in 4. A little bit more. I'll just forget the melody. I'll just play. So you heard the difference there? Move back and forth. And it creates, it creates the sense of development, that I'm developing the blues rhythmically in that sense. It also allows me, if I want to, as I go into that left hand 4/4 thing, I can start moving the right hand in more than just half notes or quarters. I can move it in eighth notes or sixteenths, so it really starts swinging at that point. Any other thoughts?
Maybe a question, Tom.
Yeah.
It's a chicken and egg question, so it might take longer to ask than it does to answer. But when we talk about blues, if we go back to the roots, it's really more of a musical form based on lyrics than it is on music itself. And by that, I mean, I'm thinking, this is my image, bib overalls and Southern rural poverty, sitting on the porch with a guitar made out of a cigar box kind of a thing. And all of a sudden, you've got these people singing these laments, and the laments are kind of based on, if I didn't have bad luck, I wouldn't have any luck at all. Everything is bad, everything is wrong, and I'm powerless. So that lends itself to this kind of this slow pace of strict quarter time, slow, not necessarily legato, but slow. And then all of a sudden, we jump from that to Buddy Rich playing basically blues, which is got no lyric to it at all, to my knowledge. So what's happened to the music? It's come from a form in this slow walking, straight walking beat to something that has got excitement to it and syncopation and other things. So is blues basically blues, or is blues something else?
Yeah, it can take many different, not forms in the technical sense, but the blues is so versatile. It can take, it can evoke more than one mood, several moods. For instance, for me in that blues, it's a happy blues, but it's one in which it makes me, and that kind of thing, it makes my body want to dance and just feel it in the body so much and express that in the body if somebody else was playing. I would have to move to it because it has such a groove in there. The early blues forms were just the three chords, largely guitar players, and often if they had lyrics, they were sort of lament. Also, in those early blues, you get melodically, you get what's called call and response. A little motif, then it's stated again, motif again, stated again, motif, restatement, motif, restatement, motif, different statement, which takes us back to the beginning. And those came out of work songs, turn of the 20th century, 1800s, 1900s, largely from groups of African Americans who were perhaps prisoners or hired, and they were sent on building projects for the state or for the government, building railroads and roads. And they worked as a crew, and they had a crew boss. And while they worked, they would sing back and forth to each other. So you had the crew leader singing a little melody with words to it, the crew singing it back. The leader sings it again, the crew sings it back. And when they're singing, they all know to lift the rail at the right time. And it goes right into the song, so it helps them. And then the last time, the leader would sing something different, and they would sing something different or something like that. So it really comes out of music that's very physical. that those labor crews used, and the leader used to get the men to work exactly together at the right time to lift the rail and stuff like that. And then it just became more and more into places that were called barrel houses, put up by different companies that came in either to drill for oil or for something else. And that's what that is. And so this is a further development. And so in those early blues, you wouldn't hear all these chords. You heard me extra chords there. And that's what makes it a little more modern blues by the time Buddy Rich comes along. All that. Okay, I'll move on. I'm going to play a piece that I played. I think I played it in the last Zoom class, class I taught at the church. It's a Fats Waller tune. And I've always liked this tune a lot. It's fun to play. It's a waltz, but it's a stride waltz. Stride music usually is in 4/4 time, and so you have the left hand like. Down, bass note, chord, bass note, chord, bass note, chord, the melody over. But what's unusual about this one is it's not in 4/4, it's in 3/4. It's a stride in 3/4, and what I've done, and it goes like this. I'll play a little bit of the original, because what I've done is to reharmonize it and change the melody in a couple of spots, just to have a lot of fun with it. And my chords too are more modern than the Fats Waller stride would be. Fats Waller stride would be like this. Like that. And those chords are pretty conventional too. But I changed it up. And so here's my version. Yeah, both. Thank you so much. Yes. So I need to get feedback from you. You applauded, so you liked it. What did you like about it?
This isn't what I like about. I actually have a question. Is that okay?
Yes, Jeanette, of course.
Okay. My question is, you were talking about reharmonizing. When you decide to take a piece like that, that's an old piece with maybe not as sophisticated a harmony, but make it more modern and more sophisticated.
Yes.
Are you choosing completely different chords, or are you just adding things, ninths and 11ths and 13ths on top of the original chord? I can't tell.
In the case of this arrangement, I did both. Okay. I did this. The original, which I played first, moves in the left hand from the 1 chord for a bar, 3 beats, and then to the 5 chord for 3 beats. 1, 5, and I'm playing those chords very conventional too. I'm not putting in any ninths or any sharp 11s or anything. What I did was this instead of. I moved this chord up a half step, back down, back up. Now in the original right here, it goes to. But after I did this, I went back to the 1 chord, but I turned it into minor and sort of modal. And I did it like this. There's 4 bars there. I could have played that chord for 4 bars. One more time. Just sitting on the minor chord. Well, I needed to move it forward there, so I didn't just sit on that minor chord. I did a surprise chord at the very, after I played about 2 bars of that chord, then I did another surprise chord that is odd, but it takes us right back to the beginning. That chord. So, wow, where did that come from? But then that chord leads very nicely to. Right back into it. Because that chord is just a half step below that minor chord I was playing. And I move back up a half step and I'm back to the original chord. New chord. Original. Right there, I had to change the melody to fit with that harmony. So I used a little more of a modal melody. That is to say, I didn't play thirds. That's the way the melody moved. I played fourths. What did I do? Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Other observations, or what did you like about it? Well, you applauded, so somebody's got to speak up. I'll call on you.
Well, I'll say one thing. Your movement in that piece reminded me of something I remember Mary McFarland said years ago on that great piano jazz show on Sunday nights, where she
Yes.
said when someone had asked her about call and response in the blues, and she said, the key to great instrumental blues jazz on a piano is to never lose sight of that call and response in the middle of it.
Right. That's a good comment. I loved her show.
Yeah.
It's great. I mean, she had pianists on there who I didn't even know who they were, and they played great. She got Keith Jarrett on there one year. That's hard to do. I remember that. Wasn't one of her best programs, but that was because of her guest. He's a great player. I'll say no more. Any other comments on that? See, that tune too, for me, is really fun. It's a fun, lively tune, and it could go a lot faster too. If I had it on my fingers a little better, it might be really good that way. It's a lot of fun at that tempo too. I didn't want to play it that fast today because I wanted to kind of be easy and relaxed. All right. Any other comments?
I was just
Before I
going to
move on.
say, I was just going to say, I liked your slower version better than the faster one. It seemed more, I don't guess melodious would be the term, but calmer, but still fun.
Yeah,
And dancing kind of.
that's right. And you're exactly right. And that's what that song would have been written for Fats Waller to play in some nightclub, so to speak, back then. And the pianist was the band back then, just a pianist often. And they wanted music that was lively and danceable. So my first tempo is really the right one for that song. Okay. I'm going to play a ballad. This is a song that it's a standard song. It was written by Matt Dennis. And I've always just really loved the melody. And it has words, and the words are really funny. The song is called Everything Happens to Me. So you can imagine it's usually sung by a guy who talks about this happened, this started off good, and then this happened. So he just laments everything happens to me. It was originally written in the key of E flat, but I changed it to G. I like it in G much better. I have been reharmonizing it lately. Lately, I've been experimenting with different chord voicings and really enjoying it. And I've been experimenting with chord voicings that instead of real wide and spread apart are clusters. They're real close together. I sort of set myself some parameters. Cluster chords in which to get to the next chord, you try and move the least amount of notes that it takes in order to hear the next chord. So it's a discipline, and I do this with all kinds of things. I decide I'm going to work on this, but I set some parameters of how I'm going to work on it. The original goes like this. Everything happens to me. Bridge. You get it. Pretty beautiful chords. Conventional in their structure, built in thirds and some in fourths, and a lot of extensions. I'm going to do the same, but I'm going to cluster the notes together. So it starts here. So you sort of have to listen for that. So I did it like this. So you hear the difference there, I hope. Yeah. Comments?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Jeanette. So far.
Oh, okay. I like the way it was all kind of centered around the same part of the keyboard, kind of right there, kind of in the middle. I like that, kind of chunked together. Yeah, it gives it a solid, but kind of, I don't know, it's just a nice sound. I like it.
Thank you. I do too.
Yeah.
Working on those.
I mean, I could tell what you were trying to do, and it worked really well with that song.
Yeah, I don't quite have it under my fingers yet. I would play it a little, I would phrase it a little better, but it takes me a little longer to get it under my fingers because none of those voicings are new to me. What's new to me is that I'm trying to have one follow the next, follow the next, follow the next, without playing the bass note.
Right.
Without putting in the bass. Or if I do have the bass note in the chord, I don't play it on the bottom of the chord. And it's so interesting to me how you can just take a chord and then shift one note and it becomes the other chord.
Right.
And and also this cluster sound, I sort of get from more of the modern big bands sound, because they will take their saxes and their trumpets and arrange them real close together in the notes, and so they get this beautiful timbre. There's a word I haven't talked about. It's another characteristic of music. Timbre means the color of the sound. And so you get that same thing here. Let's see. Let me find a place. See? I just moved 2 notes. And then from there, it just went on. And that helps me understand even better what the internal melodies can be on that. And so I kept it in the center too, because that's the best place to hear those clusters. So too high, it's too high. You don't hear that beautiful coalescing. Down below, same thing. So I kept it right here in the center, which allowed me, as I developed the piece, to start adding a bass note down here and another one down here. So it expands, so your ear doesn't get tired of just those cluster notes. Right.
Tom, I think Ralph has a question, and then we've probably got time for one more after Ralph.
Yeah,
about
Ralph.
3 minutes.
Okay, am I on?
Yes.
Okay, I have a couple of thoughts. You said it was originally an E flat. You moved it to G. Now, I would do that myself only for a couple of reasons. One is that it fits the voice better. So if you're trying to sing something low and it would make sense, but you're not singing the song, although I'd like you to. And the other is, if I'm trying to play a guitar or some instrument like that, I only know certain chords, and I move it to a key where I know the chords rather than the ones that I struggle with. And the other thought, which is completely different, is that I used to listen to some of these same big bands back in the late 50s, early 60s. And one of my favorite bands of all time was the Stan Kenton Orchestra. And they used to play all the time in Bristol, Connecticut, close to where I lived at the time. And they did the multiple voicings too. A lot of times it would be the trumpets and the trombones, more so than the trumpets and the saxes. But you would get that, and you would get the dissonance, and that was probably my favorite big band of all time. Now I'll be quiet.
Have you ever heard?
It was easier for their. I was going to say it's easier for their
band now. That's just great, and they're led by their composer. Her name is Maria Schneider.
Okay.
If I got that wrong, I'll check it and tell you next week. She is a beautiful arranger. She went to Berklee School of Music, and she studied with Nelson Riddle, who's a great arranger. And she writes fantastic tunes, and she'll use that very tight cluster sound. Maria Schneider. And you can get on YouTube and check her out. She's got one song I love so much is called Hang Gliding. Hang Gliding. All right, I got to move on. How much time do I have?
Just a few minutes, but Alan may have a question. Did you have a comment or a question, Alan?
Oh, it's just I love those cluster sounds, and in answer to my other colleague talking about the Stan Kenton arranging, it's easy for them to do with the trumpets playing as high as they do to replace the saxes with the trumpets. It's in their natural range. But coming back, Tom, to take it to the polar extreme, I think the clustered sounds, the chords are so interesting. Your brain is guessing where you're going, but the music's taking you somewhere just a little bit different, forces you to really listen hard. And that kind of just rocketed me into, well, where are you going to go next? You're going to have to move to Japan, where they're playing in half flats and half sharps and third flats and third sharps. Their music is nails on the blackboard, screeching crazy, but it is so sophisticatedly done. They can hit those notes 1,000 times out of 1,000, and it's brilliant.
Yeah. Well, obviously I like them, and I'm working on them.
But you'd have to play the cracks on the piano to do that.
Yeah. I'm not, excuse me. The song I wanted to play next is one of mine, but I'm going to wait till next week because I can't play it in two minutes.
Yeah, we're about out of time. Y'all are just amazing group of people. You've got such experiences and knowledge. I just am blown away always. You've got some good comments here, Tom, from folks thanking you, appreciating you. Lynn wants to hear about sometime the artwork behind your piano, but maybe we can save that for another time. Lynn, come back.
I would love to show you our artwork. Our home is like a gallery.
It is. Yeah.
We have art up everywhere.
I do appreciate this.
We'll take a few minutes and show you just each week. I could just show you a little bit.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I love the blue painting behind you. That blue painting is interesting.
That one?
Yeah, we'll do that another week. Yeah.
That one is a watercolor of an iceberg when we were on a ship in Glacier Bay, a trip up to Alaska and then back down. And my wife is a watercolorist and she made a series of paintings. And that's one of them.
Okay.
Well, tell her how much, tell Pat how much we love that and are glad to see it and learn more about it. Thank you, Tom, for today. You guys, we're live on Facebook, so check out the Life Quest of Arkansas Facebook page to see yourselves and hear Tom and some of the other viewings. And then, of course, also on our website. This will be uploaded a little bit later today to our website so you can share it from there as well. Thank you for Zooming with us. Until